Not the result you're after tonight. Can you just walk us through sort of how you're feeling? Obviously, you don't want to get too bogged down in the result, but what's just the initial thoughts on the game?
Felt we got outworked. Maybe some fatigue. It's not an excuse. We said coming into the game, offensive rebounds, three-pointers, their pressure. They have 26 offensive rebounds. We have 17 turnovers. They go 16 for 42 from three.
And over the last three games, notice every game Brisbane's actually getting up 10, 20 less shots than the opposition. Just as a basketball coach, what does that say about the offense? Is it a worrying thing, or is it just sort of just how the ball's falling? Or
well, I mean, some of that is when you're giving up those many offensive rebounds or having turnovers. You know, they're getting extra possessions through that. Offensively, we're very stagnant. You know, tonight, you know, I have to go back and watch the film. Like, you know, I don't want to say it's fatigue, but I also know, you know, that, you know, we've had a long road, you know, schedule to start the season, and we've been fighting, and, you know, maybe we were just a little gassed at certain moments tonight, and, you know, we lose Toey, you know, after a short stint, so, you know, we're kind of scrambling, you know, there as well, and, you know, coming back from New Zealand, it's a 3-hour time difference. Like, I'm not making excuses by any means. You know, but we're playing a few key guys, you know, well over 30 minutes on a short turnaround, and I just felt that, you know, those types of things with the rebounds and the turnovers, like, it's as much a mental fatigue as it is a physical. It's no excuse by any means. Like, we have to be better, and we identified that as, like, the key areas for tonight. Southeast does a really good job, and they're #1 in the league in offensive rebounding, and it showed.
Coach, are you confident that you have the sort of three-point prowess within the current roster? I just think, obviously, I think maybe 4 or 5 threes tonight, 5 threes last week. Those threes would really help, just in general. Obviously, they're not falling, but do you think you have enough snipers in the team?
I do. You know, and I think I've said this before. Sometimes it's the type of threes that we're taking and how those are being generated, and when they're not coming off of ball movement, purposeful pace. It can also then put a lot of pressure on your defense coming back the other way. So, like, I know we're a good shooting team. I see it every single day in the gym. You know, we're not getting Tyrell, like, involved enough, and I feel like if we can play inside, it'll then open up our outside. We're not far off, but I think it just still comes down to the type of threes that we're getting consistently that we got to be better at.
Coach, your team is currently last place in rebounding. How do you combat that? Is that just like box out drills in practice? Is it an effort thing? How do you even turn that around?
Yeah, I think it's an effort thing. I mean, that's been tried and tested for a long time, that, you know, rebounding is effort. I mean, Tyrell's, you know, arguably one of the best rebounders in the league, but, you know, a lot of these, you know, are coming off of just like tip outs and 50-50 hustle plays, and, you know, you got to put a body on somebody first, then go get the ball. So, you know, we talked about getting back to some basics, you know, around that, and it's an area we have to clean up. You can't give up these many extra possessions and expect to win a game.
Tristan got the start tonight. He's been playing some really good minutes for the team. I guess, what do you see in him that we don't see during practice? Is it the defensive presence that he's bringing that you really like?
I mean, over these last few games, like, he's done a really good job, like, just being as a point of attack defender. You know, we lost that with Dorno going down in the first game and Smack going down in the second game, and, you know, Tristan just gave us, you know, something defensively, you know, with real effort, a little bit of size, quickness. You know, tough whistle tonight, and, you know, Sobe got it going early. You know, credit to him. Played a really good game. So, you know, our lineup has been evolving over the last, you know, couple rounds, and, you know, new body on the way, couple bodies on imminent return. So, you know, we're just trying to figure it out as we go, and, you know, just get as much effort as we can out of the guys that we have.
Coach, it felt like tonight the offense was a little bit clunky at times. Do you think, obviously you referenced fatigue, but do you think the team has a good enough gauge on which offense to run, when to run it, and you know, who needs the ball when, because I felt like Casey probably didn't get the looks that he needs to, and also just kind of having to work really hard for his shot as opposed to, you know, the ball finding him in space.
Yeah, I mean, their pressure's real. And, you know, when you're taking the ball out of bounds all the time, because we couldn't get stops, they set their defense, and, you know, then we're not playing with pace. We're bringing the ball up the floor. We're getting into our offense at, you know, 14, 15 seconds on the shot clock instead of 18 or 19. And, you know, just makes it more difficult. So, yeah, the offense was definitely stagnant tonight. We talk about our ball movement, our cutting, you know, moving the ball from the first side to the second side. And when you don't do that, you know, you're taking tough shots, and then it's putting pressure on your defense going the other way. Then you're taking it out, and it just kind of compounds, you know, from there. And, you know, when you get down in a hole, sometimes, like, it might seem well-intentioned, but we're, like, trying to get it back too quickly and not trusting, like, who we are and, you know, what we can do really well.
All good for me, Sarah.
Feel good?
Yeah.
Chrissy.
Nod or shake, Stu. Have you already been asked about Dakota coming in?
No, I have not.
No? Okay. Would you expect him to play at least some minutes in those 2 games next week, and what are you expecting him to be able to bring to the team?
Yes, he'll be available for the next round. And, you know, he's a high basketball IQ player, a really good shooter, understands ball movement and execution. So I think he'll fit in really well with the current group and give us, you know, just give us another connector, you know, type player that, like, understands, you know, how to play systematic basketball, can still get his own shot, good ball carrier too. So I think he'll help in that area where, you know, without Nordo, we're really only having 2 primary ball carriers, and that's Tristan being one of them, who's, you know, still in his developmental phase of that part of the position.
And just lastly as well, you get to stay home like you talked about for this next week, but it doesn't get too much easier because you've still got 2 games in 48 hours again. What are your thoughts going into this next week?
Yeah, I mean, there's no easy game. Schedule's really challenging all year long. A lot of respect for all the teams in the league. You know, we get 2 off days now. We get 2 really good days of practice. You know, and we get 2 games at home without travel. So, you know, I think there'll be a lot of positivity. I mean, there are things we got to take away, you know, from this game, and we'll watch the film, we'll learn, and we'll get better from it, and we'll come out ready to play on Thursday.
Thanks, Stu.
Thanks, Stu. You're all good.
I'm good.
Yeah.